What's up, y'all? Lim Jahi here, and today we'll be talking about the old school, the OG Benchmade Model 239. Uh, this is a predecessor to the 42s and all that shiznit. But yeah, we're just gonna be talking about the history of this knife, what I like about it, how it flips, yada yada yada, and some details on this particular piece that I found interesting. Anyway, so let's talk about the history of this knife. Uh, the Benchmade Model 239 was part of the international series of butterfly knives made by, well, Benchmade. And there were a few different models. I mean, also, I just want to say, don't quote me on anything I say here because, finding information on these older Benchmades is quite the pain in the ass. So I'm just going by what people have told me and what I've seen and heard on other videos on YouTube. But anyway, so part of the international series, old ass knife. So they made these knives from I think the 1980s to like the 1990s, and I don't know if it went beyond that, but I do know like these are pre 2000s basically, and the other models worth noting are the Benchmade 259, which is basically the same thing as this, except it didn't have fully skeletonized handles like the 259. If you look it up, I'm not going to explain. I did have a 259 a long time ago, but I sold it for whatever reason and I regret it. I do want to get a 259 again so I can kind of put it side by side with this one, its brother. But yeah. So I don't really know what else to say about the history of this knife other than it's cool and it's old and it's classic. But yeah, this is a genuine 239. This ain't no knockoff, ain't no Rost Frey or Jaguar or nothing. It says Benchmade USA right there. Camera doesn't like to focus, but you can make it out on there. And it has, wow, it has the old school butterfly, old school ballet song butterfly etched onto the blade. Yeah, I really wish my phone would just focus for once, but no, it doesn't. The quality on this thing is ass. But anyway, so how does this thing flip? Let me move the other knives out of the way. This thing flips. It flips. I think it flips great, but that's because I love old school knives and how they flip, and I love the weight on it. I like the play, it just adds character to it. But, if you're more into like modern day ballad songs where they have absolutely no play at all, they got the bushings, the bearings, and all that shit, this probably isn't the knife for you unless you just want like a classic piece from way back when ballad songs first started getting popular. But yeah, I do like this thing a lot. I think it flips great. That's just me. You might think differently, or you might think the same. And if you do, rock on, brother. Let's talk about the handle play on this thing. So it's bad. Well, it's not like terrible. I've definitely seen a lot worse on ballad songs, and actually, I have a ballad song that has really terrible play on it, and it's a 43 clone that I've beat up for like 3 years. Actually, I take it back. It's about the same. I'm actually surprised. I thought the play was way worse on here, but yeah, I have seen a lot worse play in other knives. specifically clones of this knife, but we'll talk about that later. So things I found interesting with this particular knife when I got it is there is a crack right here. Can't really see it, but where my finger is pointing, that little dark stripe right there, that's a crack. And it hasn't gotten any worse. And if I look on the inside, it's not really obvious that it's causing any issues. And I've been flipping the shit out of this thing for like 2 days now. And it hasn't caused me any problems. Also, yes, I did take the latch off of this thing because, ew, I hate latches. So I also don't plan on ever selling this thing. Don't worry. So you purists out there, suck it. This is a knife I'm keeping forever because I always wanted one and now I have it. Let's talk about the blades. So I really love the shape of the blade. I really do. It's just cool. So the swedge with this, the swedge on here, and if you don't know what a swedge is, so basically, it's this little part right here above, like, where the blade comes to the tip. And so when they would sell these, and they did this with 42s as well, because they have a similar blade shape, the Weehawk blade shape. So this swedge right here would be dull when they'd sell it, but you could sharpen it if you wanted to, and you could have like a partial double-edged blade, but you know the spine here is still dull, so you could still do tricks and shit without getting cut. But the previous owner, actually, like, you can kind of see grind marks on the swedge right there. They actually sharpened this. They actually sharpened the swedge. So when I got this thing, it was partially double-edged. I actually dulled the swedge because I just don't have a use for that. But yeah, it's a really nice knife. I love it a lot. Definitely my pride and joy right now. But I have a few Benchmade 239 clones or knockoffs or whatever you want to call it, but problem is I live in Louisiana and I'm from Iowa, but I left all my cool, like, cheapo knives all the way back in my home state, so I can't really compare them with the real deal. But if I ever get those back, yeah, I'll do a video comparing this with the clones of it. Spoiler alert, I like this more. But yeah, I don't really know what else to go on with this thing. They are actually fairly cheap if you can find them, which is really surprising to me because, you know, the 4X series knives, they're always like $400, $500, $600 fucking dollars, sometimes even $1,000, depending on the model. I found this thing for like $130 ish the other day when I bought it. Person selling it, I don't know, I didn't really talk to them much. I was just like, hey, I want your knife. They're like, cool. Now I have it. Yeah, they're relatively cheap when you can find them. I think the highest I've ever seen a 239 or a 259 ever sell for would be like $300 maybe. And even that, like, I mean, that's kind of high, but I think those were mint condition. So this knife certainly is not that. Like the handles, whoops. The handles are kind of scratched up. You can't really tell on this stupid ass phone and its camera, but believe me, camera doesn't do it justice. There are scratches on this thing, but when I bought it, it kind of looks like the previous owner like polished it before they sold it to me, and it's like, you know, that's cool. It looks really nice in my opinion. It just adds character to it. Um, I don't really know what else to go on other than these are relatively cheap. They're actually really good for beginners. Like if you're wanting to get into balisong flipping and you want like a classic knife, this is definitely not a bad choice because these are awesome. And heavier balisongs are actually better for learning, in my opinion. But if you want a trainer, you're not gonna get a trainer from this unless you dull the blade, which you can do. I've done that to a lot of knives when I was first getting into this hobby. Um, what what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, don't beat these things. If you get one, do not drop it on hard surfaces because I have seen these break. It's probably a rare thing, but I saw a guy on Instagram. He had one of these things that he had been flipping since the 1990s, and he beat the hell out of it. And I think the post was made in like 2016, and his bite handle or his safe handle, one of the two, they just snapped off of the knife entirely. And when he went to contact Benchmade to get a replacement handle, they basically told him to go fuck himself. And so now he just has a cool ass knife that he can't flip anymore. So do not beat these. They can break. I don't know. Maybe that one was just a lemon, but these can hold up a really long time. I would just advise against using them as beaters. Uh, I mean, I'm not using mine as a beater knife because I'm just flipping it over my bed right now. But yeah, they're great. I think they flip fantastic, but that's just me. A lot of people would probably think that the handles on this are way too short. That's valid, but I don't have gigantic hands, so. And a lot of people would probably think these are too heavy, which I like the weight, honestly. I like heavier balisongs. Oops. Hey, I got it. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about this thing. Because I don't really know what the hell else to add other than get one if you can find it. Peace.